can only be attributable to human error.
You're entering paranormal.
Where will we go next? Just phantom from another time.
No one, Mr. Muller.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
That is one big pile of shit.
Hello, I'm Alex Daikaiju.
I'm Jasmine with
And I'm Eli Watson.
And we are
Cryptid
Campfire.
Woohoo! Hello, everybody.
The world tour continues.
I just want to say, that's right, we're on world tour, baby. The other week, we found our fire, we found our passion with the duende. And then as we traveled around on the road tour, we got a little homesick. So we had to call our mama, the Yaka mama.
I wondered where you were going with that because I was like, we did not do duendes last week.
A couple weeks ago.
Weeks ago.
And today I thought we could, well, it's almost October. So what better than for the spooky weather than to go somewhere nice and cold and isolated and the Antarctic.
Yes. And by the time this episode releases, it will be October, I believe. So yeah, we're getting to some chilly cold vibes now. Maybe a little colder than we would want. The Antarctic, I believe, is probably the coldest you could ever get.
Mm-hmm.
But that is where we're going. Let's all make sure that we bring our either swimsuits or wetsuits because we're going to be swimming in the icy waters of the sub-Antarctic oceans to look for the cryptid that we're talking about today.
No, you can swim if you want to. I will be taking our RV from our last home and sailing on the water because I'm not getting in there. I'm not getting in.
Into a ship.
Yeah, dude, that thing can fly. So
that's right. We did equip it with a lot of special abilities.
It had everything.
Magic
had
chicken
wings.
nuggies.
Magic chicken nuggies that were perfectly cooked in the microwave. It was a miracle, a godsend.
Oh man.
Yeah, we're here today. We'll talk about the newest controversy in the world today. They made the announcement that Chris Pratt's going to be Mario in the Super Mario Brothers movie, and the world flipped over twice in response to it. So we're talking about that today.
No.
Huh? That's all my notes are.
No, I think you did the wrong research if that's what you were expecting to talk about today.
No. Today we're talking about the one, the only, the amazing Ningen.
Yes. Which I had never heard of prior to doing the research for this episode. We've done so many episodes of this podcast that when we started out, we kind of did all of the ones that you've heard of, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, El Chupacabra, that kind of stuff is what we talked about.
Skyfish.
Mothman. Skyfish, no. But as time goes on, I'm exposed to all kinds of new cryptids and creatures and legends and myths and whatever. So this was one that I had never heard of, which I was interested in reading about. Aquatic humanoid.
This was actually one of the first ones that was recommended to at least me and Alex before we even started the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how long that idea has been kicking around for 184 episodes.
Jesus.
And now it's time to shine, and we got this fancy new third dimension to mess around with.
Yeah. Don't worry, folks. If you recommend us something, we'll get to it. It just might be a while.
We got a lot of cryptids on the docket, so let's get through them one by one. We're going through all 200 today. No. But, where should we begin with this bad boy?
Physical description. From what I understand, an aquatic humanoid creature, not so much a mermaid. completely pale white in color with smooth blubbery skin like a whale. Sometimes it appears to have a mermaid tail, but other times it's reported that it has fin-like appendages that roughly resemble human arms and legs. Again, sometimes described as being the size of a human or an ape, but other times also being 60 to 90 feet long. So there's a big range in there. Witness reports note that the creature has 2 huge eyes on the underside of the head and a large slit-like mouth, but no other facial features, which is terrifying to just have nothing and then just like that is creepy.
It's weird looking into them because the classic image I'd always seen was what you described, Jasmine, kind of like a weird mermaid mixed with a whale, to where it's like pale, blubbery even, and
blubbery.
yeah, and but then also there's some descriptions, or you know what, they're artist interpretations, so those are fun. But it looks like if you took a big frog head and then just put 2 little legs on it. And
there's that, yeah.
Which is, I thought, and then I saw that image, and I was like, oh, I like this version a little more. It's a little more cute, a little more whimsical. Looks like something from Super Mario. And but yeah, so I don't know where that description comes from, or if that's just a like a spin-off of a Nightcrawler.
Dude, exactly. That's what I was getting ready to say. When I like Googled the images of the Ningen, I was like, swimming Fresno Nightcrawler. Like, it's just legs and nothing, just legs. But yeah, the descriptions vary, artist renderings vary, people use their creativity. But for the most part, I think the biggest things are a pale white skin, mermaid-like appendages, things like that.
Yes. Well, I'll pitch in here. All right. So it's also thought to be nocturnal and lives in Arctic conditions, even though every sighting has been during the day.
Oh.
Now, when you say every sighting, how many sightings have there been? Do we know?
That is a great question, and I don't think the internet knows.
Well, it's funny too, for such a nocturnal animal. Everyone sure does draw it a lot in the daytime.
Yeah,
well, it's hard to draw things at night. I mean, maybe it's not. I guess that's not true, but
you can do it at night. I don't know.
At night.
I got that it's also been sighted in the Pacific, Atlantic, and Antarctic oceans.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I only read about Antarctica. Actually, no, that's a lie. I did also read about something in another country off the southern coast of Africa.
Namibia.
Yeah, that's the one.
The southern coast. I think that would still place it
in the
Atlantic. Would it be Antarctic, or would that be
the bottom?
See, I don't know, dude.
It runs. It's like trying to figure out where the property lines are, I guess, for what's considered Antarctic and what's considered like sub-Antarctic.
I mean, they all basically run down to the Antarctic, right? The Pacific and the Atlantic both touch the Antarctic Ocean. So, like, for it to be seen in all 3 of those oceans, to me, is not far-fetched. It's like, it's not like one day it was in Namibia and then the next day it was in New York,
just dancing around like, hey, look at that guy.
So even though the location of these creatures is said to be in the icy waters around Antarctica, the rumors of their existence, from what I understand, actually come from Japan, because it was Japanese fishing and research vessels that were the first ones to begin reporting sightings of these creatures / this creature. Still unknown if it's just one or if it's multiple, like a species type deal. But the word, which we've been saying Ningen, I think the proper pronunciation is something more closer to Ningen. It does mean human in Japanese, and the sound of the word Ningen also invites association with the Japanese folkloric creature, the Ningyo, which I don't know if you guys came across in your research, is a human fish, which was traditionally represented as having somewhat of a grotesque combination of a fish's body and a human-like face. So another sort of sea humanoid creature, but vastly different from the description of the Ningen.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Ningyo later.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Jasmine, you're always trying to spoil my surprises.
Listen, man, this is why we have our pre-recording meeting where I tell you what I've got and you tell me what you've got and we go along. But I guess it flipped both of our minds this time. It's okay. They'll just have to wait, figure out more about it.
Well, as the story goes, like Jasmine said, it appears that the first reports came from the 1990s. Japanese whalers, I believe is the correct term.
Mm-hmm.
However, that doesn't appear to be, like, no stories of that are online or available. So the first real source we have of any mention of the Ningen comes from a Japanese forum called 2channel, or
okay. Well, let's not
2chan.
It's okay. Let's not skip over the 1990 story though, because it's the only thing you'll find. What?
What is the 1990s story?
So the 1990 story. Would you like to tell it, Alex? Do you know it?
Yes, I do. 1990s. Let's go back, everyone. Close your mind's eye, imagine it. Spice Girls are at the top of the chart. Everyone's got moon shoes. Terminator 2 came out at the start of 1991, or mid of 1991, and it changed the world forever. Things are looking good. 2000's around the corner. Woohoo! So now we're in the mindset. Reports of the Ningen first made waves in the 1990s when Japanese fishermen claimed to have spotted one of the creatures when it abruptly surfaced alongside their boat in the frigid waters of the Pacific under a calm moonlight sky. Upon first glance of the large white object, the crew instinctively thought they were witnessing the surfacing of a dangerously close submarine. But then they quickly realized the object was far from a giant inanimate steel object. The incredible sight before them proved to be a giant living thing. Fishermen standing along the side of the ship were in total shock and awe, were amazed by the massive size of the unknown pale creature, and stood motionless as they watched it glide between both effortlessly and silently along the surface of the ocean before sliding back into the cold darkness around it.
Mm-hmm. And I believe that specific retelling that you just shared with us comes from our friend Adam Benedict at the Pine Barrens Institute, correct?
That's right. Yeah. I had to hop over there. I said, listen, if there's anyone who's going to know good Japanese mythology, it's the Pine Barrens Institute.
Yeah. It's also said that the people aboard that ship were able to take photos and videos and document the sighting, but that evidence has never surfaced either because of government influence or cultural pressure to not be associated with the paranormal event. Now, as Eli was saying, there's not really any articles or news reports of this actually happening. And being in the 1990s, I feel like if it was something that did happen, then there definitely would be something that we could read, that we could find, because news was a thing. It's not like this is something that happened before there was print media or the internet or anything like that.
Well, get ready to have your mind blown.
Oh,
because I already revealed where that story came from. That comes from 2chan.
Really?
That story, because I'll share what I have, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this sounds like the exact same story. But so on 2chan, sometime in 2007, a person posted on there. It's a forum site, so it's just text. They claim to have either worked or been working on a government research vessel. And so apparently this researcher and other researchers ran on deck to see what they thought was an incoming submarine. However, as it got closer, they realized it wasn't. It was a living creature. Similar thing, it goes across the surface of the water, then submerges. A couple of the researchers took photographs, but again, like Jasmine said, none of those photographs have surfaced. They theorize that it's because of the possible shame the research crew would have to deal with being associated with such a strange event.
Yeah.
So-
What I find interesting about that, the post supposedly happened in 2007, and I did read that, not in so many words, but I read basically what you just said, what I just said. Were you able to find the transcript of that original post by chance?
No, and honestly, it might not even exist anymore.
Okay,
So it's
that's
been
a good point.
14 years.
Because it's like a big chat room, right? Or like a posting, a big
Yeah, it's
message board, right?
it's essentially 4chan, basically, is what it is. So
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I was confused about when I was doing my research for this, I read about another post that actually came from 2002. And
Oh?
I was trying to decipher if this was like the same post and maybe someone just wrote the year wrong, but this post sounds dramatically different. They don't mention the Ningen by name. I am going to go ahead and just read the post for you because I do have what is supposedly the transcript, like what the post originally said. Again, it doesn't come from the original source. But it claims to be what the post said at the time it was posted. And it read, I heard that the research whaling surrounding the Antarctic Sea conducted by the Japanese government is not only conducting research on the whales they catch, but also researching and recording whales they do not catch. In the last few years of research, it is said that some objects that cannot be officially announced have been witnessed. This information is gained directly from a person involved. These are what is called among people related to research whaling, Hirogata butai, which means human-shaped objects. There are several types of them, such as one that looks like a human with 4 limbs and a head, and one that looks as if it's 2 humans, and one that looks as if 2 humans' upper bodies are joined. They emerge from the water just like whales. The whole body is white and the size is a few tens of meters long. And before I continue, I just want to mention that this is a Japanese site that these posts come from. So the reason that I'm like stumbling over my words a little bit is because of the translation from like Japanese to English. Doesn't always flow how we would want it to. I heard that nobody had seen such a thing when they were conducting whaling years ago. They are really baffled at it because an official announcement of the object could overturn the credibility of current research whaling. They are just recording them, but that does not mean they're vigorously conducting research on them. As they have to submit their research schedule to the international committee, they cannot change their schedule flexibly. The person who told me the story said, you can tell the story, but please keep me anonymous. Though I'm pretty sure that other people are telling the story too. That's all I heard. So this was a post submitted by someone who heard this information from someone else, and then was posted on the internet. That was posted on May 11th, 2002. As the 68th item on a thread entitled Giant Fish Monster Fish in the occult section of 2channel. And then after that, subsequent threads about the topic continued to be contributed to up until December of 2003. And then after the 2channel threads went quiet, the story appears to have lain dormant until it was revived in 2007 in various other media outlets. So I'm wondering, if this 2002 post was the first thing, and then the 2007 post that Eli shared and that we talked about maybe came later. But the 2007 post, I think, proved so popular that a Japanese magazine with focuses on the paranormal and the mysterious did a feature on the creature. I don't know if you guys want to talk about that. But from what I'm understanding, the timeline is this post came in 2002. The 2007 post came referencing something that supposedly happened in the 90s. So that's kind of the way that we're jumping around. I wish that we had the transcript of the original 2007 post, because I want to know where the 1990s come from. Like, why does everybody say this happened in the 90s?
It was just the time. You had to be there. The Chupacabra got his start in the 90s.
Yeah, I think the 2007 post has to refer back to the 90s, right? And then even the 2002 post would kind of refer back to the 90s, right? As if it's a thing that's been ongoing for a while, right? There's only 3 years in the 2000s at that point. So it's like,
yeah, you're right, because it does say in the last few years of research. So
yeah. So so in November 2007, that 2007 2chan post kind of caught like wildfire. An article was ran in Japanese Moo magazine, and like Jasmine said, it is a magazine that focuses on paranormal stuff, kind of like a Japanese version of Fate magazine. That's what you can kind of liken it to. And as far as I can tell, I've seen this picture a couple of times on Google, where it's a Google Earth image of what is supposedly an engine swimming off the coast of Namibia, as we kind of mentioned that a couple times already. But as far as I can tell, that article from Moo magazine is where that picture originates from. So I'm not sure where they got it.
It looks like it could be what 2007 they did the article, you said. They probably could have done Photoshop, because I think that's the classic image that I think everyone kind of does, to where it has like a mermaid. It looks like a beluga tail. You can kind of see, looks like arms, and then maybe like a weird head a little bit. So I mean, I assume if you took like a beluga and just photoshopped a little bit, you could get a similar effect off of a Google Images image too. A little bit of that blurriness aids it.
Sure.
Yeah. So around this time is kind of when more sightings were reported from other fishing vessels in the Pacific Ocean and around the Arctic. They started reporting these strange sights and these creatures, and the descriptions are supposedly always the same. Like it's very similar, and they always come from reputable sources. These people on these research and whaling vessels. But after, it kind of snowballs into this thing that you can't really separate. It's already hard to separate fact from fiction when you're dealing with something like 2chan, because when all these sightings started coming in, people started like fabricating stuff, and people started like straight up hoaxing. Digitally fabricated photos began to appear on the internet. Message boards blew up. People were faking eyewitness reports, and this stuff started to spread around and were shared via like early email accounts, and it was presented as being genuine. And because of this blatant hoaxing, it was like quickly assumed that the Ningen was nothing more than just a fictional story that grew out of hand. And then if you want to get into some conspiracy, or maybe we'll do that later.
Ooh, little intrigue.
Yeah, we'll talk about the conspiracy a little later in more detail, but basically people think that the reason so many fake photos and images started flooding on the internet was so that it would be harder to distinguish the real ones from the fake ones
Oh,
as like kind of a cover up.
that was the greatest thing I ever came across. I came across, so I went on thoughtcatalog.com just to see, because they had 12 facts you gotta know about the Ningen. I was like, oh, I'm doing a podcast, I gotta know, tell me. And so number 10 fact is, some people go so far as to say that some of the images you find of the Ningen online are purposely unbelievable to siphon credibility from real photos.
Yeah.
Just, ladies and gentlemen, it's the end all be all argument for cryptozoologists just arrived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did watch a video though. I'm trying to open the link on my computer right now, but my computer is not cooperating. But I did watch this video. I'm trying to open it so that I can tell you guys what the source is, because I feel like it came from something somewhat reputable, because it was like a diving camera, like sort of like an aquatic research facility. But it's all in Japanese. It comes from, oh gosh, I can't even tell because it's in Japanese.
Oh, is this the one? Is this the one where it kind of swims up towards the camera?
I don't know if it swims up so much as it's just stationary and the camera goes by it. But it straight up looks like a whale underwater with these like bright eyes and like a slit mouth. But you also could like argue that it could just be a rock at the bottom of the ocean. And it almost looks like it has this derpy smile on it. It's called, the video title looks like it's called The Souvenir of the Deep Sea, and it comes from something called Jamstec, Jamstec. Yeah. Oh, Japan Agency for Marine Earth Science and Technology. That's where this video comes from. And yeah, it's weird. It creeped me out a little bit the first time I read it, or the first time I watched it. But again, it could just be a rock, because it doesn't, the camera is what's moving. It's not the creature that's moving. At least in my opinion, it just looks like something that's floating there, smiling derpily at the camera as the camera passes by. But it looks like a whale underwater. It's creepy.
You should link me to that.
Okay, I can do that. Do you want me to send it to you right now?
Oh, sure.
Live on the air.
Oh shoot, I just messed up the link.
Oh,
All right,
no.
I'll send it to you in just a second.
Okay,
Ugh.
well, let's talk about that one picture where it's standing. You know what I'm talking about?
The classic one. The
classic
creepy,
one. It kind of looks hunched over. It's standing on some sort of like ice flow. Ice float? Ice flow? I don't know. But yeah, I see that one all the time. No telling if that's, direct misinformation or just a hoax.
They're just trying to siphon credibility.
They're just trying to siphon the credibility.
All right, I'm gonna send you guys this video in the group chat. You're gonna want to fast forward to 1:30 though. Everything else is just underwater sea stuff. But I want you guys to actually watch it right now. I want to see your reactions.
Okay. Live on the air reactions. Okay.
Oh, I see it.
Whoa. Oh, I think I see those eyes.
This is not the video I was thinking of. Dude, why does it end? Why does it end right there?
Right where?
Yeah. It just ends.
Right when it's getting good, right as they're getting closer, there's a derpy thing.
Does it not look like it's a derpy like whale sitting underwater just chilling?
It looks like a Pokemon whale.
I don't think it just it could be a rock.
That's what I'm saying, but like Look at its derpy face. Anyway.
There's a hole at the bottom of the ocean, and there's a derpy whale hanging out in it.
There is. But yes. Weird stuff. Lots of videos, photos. No one can tell what's real. No one can tell what's fabricated. Everyone just assumes it's all fabricated.
And that's just 2021 so far. Woo.
Oh my goodness.
There's also an item. Now, I don't know what the term item refers to, if that's like a newspaper article, a journal, a paper, or what. But I read about an item entitled Antarctic Ningen Encounter, which combines an audio interview with a Ningen expert, whose name I don't know, who reports sightings of unexplained creatures that happened in 2010 and in 2013, with 2 sequences shot on location in the Umami Islands, one in which a fisherman claims to have witnessed something strange in local waters, and another which I don't know what this says. We can just cut that.
What is it?
I
What
think
is it? Spell?
there
Can you
was
spell
a-
it?
There was a mistake. No, there was a mistake in either my typing or my pasting, because it says one in which a fisherman claims to have witnessed something strange in local waters, in another in which 2 presenters see a whale and hear roaring sounds while out on a boat. The item ends with the presenters evoking Japanese popular cinema by concluding that the Ningen must be the Godzilla of whales.
I can get behind it.
Yeah, I mean, anytime someone wants to use the word Godzilla to describe something, I'm for it.
Oh boy.
Well, I fell down a rabbit hole. If you guys want, I can fill in a
yes.
little
I'm
info
ready.
for you guys.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
All right. So talking about the Antarctic Circle, and I wanted to do a little history about it, look into the stories. So, the Ningen said to live in the sub-Antarctic zone in the region of the Southern Hemisphere, located immediately north of the Antarctic region. Antarctica is the last region on Earth to be discovered, likely unseen until 1820, when the Russian expedition Fabian Gottlieb von Bellenhausen and Mikhail Lazarev, respectively, on the Vostok and the Mirny, cited the Finbil ice shelf itself. The continent largely remained neglected for the rest of the 19th century because of its harsh environment, lack of easily accessible resources, and isolation. So I was like, makes sense. Like, what do we do with this big hunk of ice? Well, several countries claimed sovereignty in certain regions. While a few of these countries have mutually recognized each other's claims, the validity of these claims is not recognized universally. So that's kind of like the political climate of Antarctica.
Yeah.
And not only that, Antarctica's status is regulated by the 1959 Antarctic Treaty. The treaty has been now signed by 48 countries, including the United Kingdom, United States, and the now defunct Soviet Union. The treaty set aside Antarctica as a scientific preserve, established freedom for scientific investigation, and it banned any military activity in that continent. Which, I don't know if you could even have a war in Antarctica.
It's too, dude. There's nothing there.
I'll meet you down south, okay?
All right, everyone, we're declaring war, and the battleground is Antarctica. Bring
Your field or my field? Neither. Okay. We're going.
yeah, everyone, bring your onesies. It's gonna be cold. But yeah,
Crazy.
man, I fell down the rabbit hole of like the political climate of Antarctica.
Very
Something I never even thought about.
Something I would never have thought to think about.
Right?
Dude, space, bro. Space is probably even crazier.
Just imagine the ad revenue.
The last thing that I wanted to mention very briefly, just before we move on to possible explanations for the Ningen, we've talked mostly about this information being on, Japanese websites, Japanese media. It was in 2010 that the English speakers got a hold of it. 2010 is when Ningen images and reports started surfacing on English speaking websites, which I learned a new term for. It's Anglophone, means English speaking. So that's just a fun little tidbit I wanted to stick in there. So it took some time for it to like get over here. 2007. I mean, not a long time, but 2007 to 2010. Nowadays, if something happened in, across the world, something like this happened across the world, we'd find out about it next day because we've got Twitter and Instagram and every type of news media social thing in the world. But yeah.
Would we though?
I mean, if the government's trying to cover it up, maybe not.
Yeah, dude. They would just release a bunch of hoaxed images.
Yep.
They would hold a press conference and say, well, we looked into it and we can't really explain any of these sightings, but nothing to worry about, right, guys?
Now, you may be asking, why would the government want to cover up something like the Ningen? And we've already mentioned, oh, well, people just don't want to be associated with a paranormal encounter like that. We've already talked about how, the rumors are that there's images and video mixed in with the real stuff to siphon credibility and whatever. But some have speculated that the Japanese government is involved in the cover-up due to a rare chemical compound that it may produce that is either medicinal or highly venomous and able to be weaponized. Men in Black, baby. Stories have been told of the Men in Black threatening anyone who reports to have seen the Ningen sea creature or anyone attempting to expose its existence, which I will say is interesting. I'm not going to say that it's truth. I'm just going to point out the fact that there were a couple websites that I was looking at that had videos embedded that I tried to watch, and it said the video no longer existed or that the video was removed. And I was like, suspicious. Where's the videos?
I thought it was funny that the chemical compound is either medicinal or extremely
highly venomous.
Yeah, it's like, well, it's no middle ground.
Yeah, right? I mean, hey guys, we just found this new creature. It's kind of wild looking and it secretes the stuff. It could either be really, it could be the greatest medicine ever, or it could be venom.
I mean,
who wants to try it?
But if you think about it, it could be both, because any medicine that you take too much of can be poisonous to your body.
Yeah. You say that about
like Pepto-Bismol.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
If you eat too much acids, your stomach explodes.
Really?
Sure, why not? It could be either medicinal or it could be extremely venomous. We really can't tell.
Yeah, I like how it all went from this 2chan post to like this grand conspiracy about hiding weaponized medicine.
Well, I'm not going to make any commentary, but medicine is weaponized. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. But where does that take us? Oh.
Explanations. What are some possible explanations for the Ningen sightings?
The first and most obvious one is that it's real and that there is a grand conspiracy.
They're trying to keep the venom medicine from us. They're keeping it in Area 51. We're going back, everybody.
And when we say real, some possible real explanations of that are, I heard undiscovered species of ape who are able to breathe underwater.
The aquatic ape theory.
I have never heard of that.
Yes, you're such a liar, Jasmine. Go. That's all.
It took years, but we set it up and we got you.
When did we talk about this?
The mermaid episode. That's all I was saying.
You know that I don't remember anything from previous episodes, man. It goes in my brain, out for the recording, and then it's never seen again.
Yeah, we were talking about for the mermaids, we were talking about aquatic apes. We were talking about some sticky horses.
Guys,
yeah.
I literally have no memory of that. When did we record the mermaid episode? That was so long ago. That was in our Cryptid Campfire at Sea, or whatever we called it, when we were on the ocean. After Bigfoot Mountain, after Alien Airlines. What did we even call that?
Under the Sea.
Under the Sea.
Under
You're
the
right.
Sea.
I'm sorry, I don't remember.
That would have been our 4th tome, I think, December of 2019.
Yeah, if you're tuning in and you don't know who we are, we've had a lot of adventures leading up to this point.
Yeah, it's true. For those of you watching on YouTube or just listening to us for the first time, this is not the first time we've done this. We've had this podcast for quite a while, like 3 years now. If you're interested in listening to any of our previous episodes, you can find them on any podcast platform. My podcast platform of choice is Spotify. That's what I always go to try and remind myself of how many episodes we have and what we've talked about and when we talked about it. Eli kind of mentioned it earlier. I think this is going to be our 185th episode.
You're right.
So it's only the 3rd online. It's only the 3rd on YouTube, but man, we got episodes. Oh, I was gonna scroll through it and show you, but then it took me back to my homepage, and then you would have seen all of the music that I'm listening to, which could potentially be embarrassing. But like, look at this, guys. Look at
all that Andy Grammer.
Listen, the hero's journey. You may have just started it, but we've been on it for a long time, and we have yet to get to Act 2. So stay along with us.
But yeah, thank you to all of those who have listened to us before and who are joining us for the first time.
Hello, welcome to the podcast.
I'm sorry I don't remember talking about the aquatic ape theory, but if you've been listening to us for a while, maybe you remember.
Yeah. If you listen to that episode, tell us what Jasmine's opinions was on that.
Well, does the aquatic ape theory have anything to do with hydrothermal vents?
No,
sure.
it's just about
aquatic apes.
Aquatic apes. It's literally what it sounds like. So
I've had dreams where I can breathe underwater, and it's trippy.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never had a dream.
Until today. Join Eli Watson as he embarks on this wild 16-part epic to find a dream.
But apparently over the past decade, there's been a number of hydrothermal vents that have been discovered in the Arctic depths. And in these frigid waters, there's like crazy life forms. I'm sure you've thought about it, seen it, heard about some of the crazy crap that exists deep in the ocean in the really cold places that we can't access.
Could I add to that?
Yeah.
I just discovered, I mean, I didn't personally discover it, but I learned about, have you guys heard of volcano snails?
No.
I'll send you guys the picture, but get a load of this. So there are volcano snails. I'm going to send you the picture right now to the chat so you guys can see. And they have shells that are made out of iron, and they live in the hydrothermal vents that can reach up to 750 degrees Fahrenheit.
Damn.
That's crazy.
So talking about crazy.
Of that?
Bro, this looks like something out of Alien.
Right?
Toasty.
Isn't that? Could you? I mean, just taking a snail and mixing it with fire.
There's the Yeti crab too, which have been discovered in the vents. So some scientists actually theorize that hydrothermal vents are where life originated on Earth 4.6 billion years ago. So it's not too wild to think that some sort of undiscovered creature exists in the depths of the Antarctic oceans.
Dude, yeah. So the Ningen, he normally chills in the chilly waters, but then when he wants to go into the hot tub, he goes into the vents. And then
And-
when he needs to cool off, he goes back up to the surface, and that's when people see him.
Every time, you know. It's like
And
when
then
you try to go out to get milk and you run into people, always, you know, it's the one time you're trying to get out.
Yeah. And then we've got the classic misidentification of already discovered species as one of the explanations. Some people think it's just the mistaken identity of like a beluga or a bowhead whale. Some researchers also speculate that fishermen may have been seeing a massive yet currently unknown subspecies of albino ray or skate.
Yeah.
Albinism of the creature could be an evolutionary trait that helps the cold water creature camouflage amongst the floating ice.
Have you seen pictures of giant manta rays? It's an actual species of manta ray. They're called giant manta rays because there's always two kinds. There's the normal one and then the giant one. And these things, dude, they're huge. They're absolutely ginormous. So could you imagine? Like, I think that's totally in the realm of possibility. Giant white manta rays.
With human faces too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they got the eyes and they got the mouth, and
yeah.
I don't know, it could work.
Yeah.
Speaking of looking like floating ice, it could just be ice.
It was under our nose the whole time. Here we are in Antarctica with ice everywhere, and we just misidentified another piece of it.
Or could it be something from Japanese folklore?
Oh,
the Ningen. No.
Oh,
but yes, but no. This is the Ningyo, a term meaning mermaid. It is described as having a monkey's mouth, small fish-like teeth, golden scales, and a quiet flute-like voice. Catching one was said to bring storms and misfortune, and seeing one beached was considered an omen for war or some other calamity.
Whoa.
Could the Ningen be a Ningyo?
Maybe.
I'm saying Ningno.
Oh, thank you, everybody. Good night.
I hate it.
My favorite explanation was it's kind of piggybacking off Jasmine's, but a misidentified iceberg. Because you know, when you're a professional whaler who spends more time on ocean than land, you could misidentify an iceberg pretty easily. And or it could be not an ape, an aquatic sloth.
What?
Because get this, we've talked about, you know, the prehistoric animals, that maybe the Mapinguari is a prehistoric sloth carried over from a bygone era. Well, back in the day, there were also aquatic sloths known as, I heard them pronounced a few times, but I'm going to butcher it anyway. Thalassosunis. It's THALASSOCNUS, and it's like a giant prehistoric sloth that was known to dive and live in swamps and ocean areas and go for fish. And they say it had big giant claws that it could use to like hold on to the ocean bottom so it wouldn't float up, and it could stay down there for a little bit and like catch fish or maybe even fight, you know, Morazosaurus from Jurassic World.
Wow.
So
or alien.
Oh yeah. It's just a night crawler going for a swim.
And how come it wasn't seen before 1990s? It's because it wasn't on Earth before the 1990s. That's when it arrived. And it's like War of the Worlds. They planted the ships, but instead of under modern day cities, they were underneath the vents under the ocean, so they're still coming up. It all works.
Yeah.
The radioactivity from the pods as they opened created all these new species, the Yeti crab, the volcano snail. It's all coming together, guys.
I think it'll all come together in a little thing we like to call the Monsterverse.
The monster, dude. Don't tell me the Ningen's in there.
I think they had a little callback to it.
No, they didn't.
Yeah,
Lying.
it's one of the cut ones to where they were gonna have the what monarch base so and so that had like a giant mummified mermaid looking creature that was inspired by the Ningen.
Of course, everything we talk about's in there.
It's all that who would have thought that like Godzilla and cryptids would go hand in hand together.
Yeah,
but
it's true.
I know we talked about misidentified whales. Well, that led me down a rabbit hole this is what led me down this rabbit hole. It was something entirely else. So I was on, I forget even what website it was. I think it must have been the Cryptid Wiki or something else. They had a link to they had a link to Lauren Coleman's blog.
Okay.
Supposedly where he was writing about the Ningen. But the post no longer exists. And so, there it is. The Men in Black, they stepped in. They were like,
he backpedaled. Maybe he had a post about it and then he realized it was BS and he was like, I'm taking this down.
He posts about
or maybe
sometimes. I don't know.
Maybe he got a call, hey, this is the international whaling research community and we don't want you talking about the Ningen.
Yeah,
sorry, continuing.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So I decided because Lauren Coleman, it's kind of confusing, but Lauren Coleman has two blogs that are the same, but they are on two different websites and they're both run by him. So I decided to look through the other one and see if I could find that article. No luck on finding the article.
Well, his two sites are what? There's Cryptomundo and CryptoZoo News.
Yeah, those are the two.
Yeah.
Yep. And they have basically the same stuff on it. As far as I can tell, they are the same. They just look different and are two different sites. For some reason, he had an article written about Migaloo, a 45-foot, 34-ton pure white humpback whale, which was first spotted in 1991. He is also the only known all-white humpback whale in the world.
Wow.
And his name means white fella in the Aboriginal dialect of Queensland. This is Queensland, Australia. And there's quite a few photos of Migaloo. You can actually adopt Migaloo and your money will go to whale conservation. But yeah, that's where the Ningen got me today.
Wow.
Just to kind of close up the conversation about like possible explanations and like the myth and the legend and the sightings and everything like that. I read another paper. This one was only 18 pages long. In our Duendes episode, I talked about a thesis I read, which was 100 pages long, that talked about kind of the way that the Duende legend inspired social norms and the way that people saw society and things like that. This legend of the Ningen has more of a commentary on the practice of and opposition to whaling. I'm not going to go super deep into it. Like I said, the paper, or maybe I didn't say yet, the paper I read for this episode was only 18 pages long. And it's just kind of another possibility of like where this came from. Like people wanted to, scare people from doing whaling expeditions, like wanted to deter people from going out there, wanted it to kind of be this warning to not mess with the whales and things like that. So, and just so you guys know, I'll just go ahead and read what the purpose of the essay was. It says this essay attempts to combine industrial and sociocultural factors in order to assert the importance of interspecies seawater entanglements for the social construction of the ocean, and on a deeper level to propose understanding of what it is to be human and such contexts. So again, it gets pretty deep. It really digs into things, but the surface level point that I'm trying to get across is that the Ningen could just be a fantasy that came out of whaling?
I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about loggers all the time coming up with random stuff. I would imagine being out there in the ocean for so long, might just come up with the tall tale. Bro, I saw this giant thing, dude. Get this, it had a face.
What?
You know?
I'm not even gonna, bother you with this, man, but it was secreting something. Could have been medicine, could have been venom. Who knows?
And I just wanted to note real quick too, for those who don't know or maybe aren't making the connection, whaling, the term whaling does refer to the practice or industry of hunting and killing whales for their oil, meat, or bone. So when I talk about, the Ningen being like a warning against whaling, like that's why it's a thing. Whaling is not just whale watching. I'm sure that also happens out there. Like we said, there's research vessels that are out there as well, in addition to like the fishing ones. But whaling is kind of a controversial thing, and that's where the whole legend of, maybe where the Ningen legend came from, and that's what I'm trying to get across.
Yeah.
Heavy stuff, man.
Yeah. It's crazy because a lot of almost every single, well, I shouldn't say every single, a good handful of cryptids and legends and myths and things like that seem so silly and wacky on the surface level. But when you really dig into like the origin of things, it can get kind of crazy of like, oh, wow, this actually came from something super intense and controversial, and I don't know, it's wild.
Yeah.
But how about we lighten things up with some pop culture references if you guys are ready?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Sure, please enlighten me.
Did you find anything aside from like just artist renderings and stuff like that?
Well, I found it's very off topic in the sense of, because like we said, Ningen means human in Japanese.
Yeah.
So there's a 1964 movie called Ningen, a Japanese movie, and I know we said, oh, let's talk about lightening it up, but it's like a character study / tragedy of people getting shipwrecked on an island. As one by one they die off and have revelations about what it means to be a human, this crazy thing called life.
Are they whalers?
I didn't read too much of it. I just spoilers for a movie that's like 50 years old. Everyone at the end dies except for one character who's left marooned on this island by themselves.
Oh, dude, Castaway.
Yeah,
Except
except he never got off the island.
Oh man.
He just stayed there for the rest of it with Wilson, the volleyball.
Oh man.
Well, there's some comics. There's some Japanese comics.
Really?
Can you enlighten me on whether it's pronounced manga or manga?
Manga.
Manga. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, there's some manga from Core Comics, Unconfirmed Creatures You Don't Know, embracing the term Ningen. I've got the whole synopsis here, but I'm not actually gonna read that. I'm just gonna give you the final sentence, which says, Yamaguchi concludes that climate change may have resulted in the Ningen's appearance, serving as a warning to humans about global warming. So that's another kind of like hot button topic that you can attach to the Ningen and be like, why wasn't it seen until the 90s? Because the oceans hadn't, or the icebergs hadn't started melting yet. Like they,
It wasn't until, because the 80s is when everyone used hairspray and they eroded the ozone layer with it. So in the 90s.
Oh my god.
Dude, whoa, what if?
It was also the subject of a J-pop song called Ningen of the Antarctic, written and produced by Kaiko P. And the song's lyrics represent the Ningen as benign and culminate in the lyrics escapist fantasy. There's also a 2018 cyberpunk fantasy novel called Ningen by author Paul Rudd, not the same Paul Rudd.
Oh, could you imagine?
Well, I had to do a double take because I was like, wait, Ant-Man? But no.
Ant-Man and the Wasp wrote a book.
Dude, everyone knows Paul Rudd's most famous movie is This Is 40.
Yeah. No,
But
it's Halloween. He's in Halloween 6, I think.
Is it?
Yeah.
But following a brief account of one of its protagonists' traumatic youthful encounters with the Ningen, the novel includes a lengthy section detailing interactions with the Ningen and Antarctic waters, facilitated by a high-tech weapons corporation who employ synthetic humans to conduct their work. Rudd represents the creature as a highly evolved type of humanoid with a range of paranormal powers.
Wow.
It sounds like Blade Runner to where they make synthetic humans, but what if Blade Runner had it just like ninjas and other paranormal creatures? That's what was missing.
So yeah, and I got all of those from the paper I read.
Some nice name drops for like a research paper.
Yeah.
Wow. Paul Rudd.
Yeah. Who would have thought he had it in him?
Not me.
That's so crazy. Poor guy.
This whole episode has been kind of crazy. I mean, that is the end of my research. That's about all I got today. I feel like we jumped around a little bit, but this was one of those things that's kind of hard to pin down. Doesn't really have a lot to go on, but is definitely something interesting to talk about.
I think there is one more explanation.
Okay.
That it's all fake.
Oh.
Well, I was kind of hinting at it. I mean, 2chan is basically another 4chan. There's all the different chans. Like there's 6chan, 5chan, 3chan. So 2chan is just
the channel.
Change the channel, man. I mean, that's the full thing is 2channel, right? So there's 3channel, 4channel, So like a lot of things, I mean, I think it just might be fake. Like some dude was just like, oh yeah, like you never know who's posting that. The dude in 2007 said, oh, I was working on a research vessel. Okay, can you prove that?
Yeah.
Black Yoshi 69. Can you prove that?
Where were you? Where was your timestamp?
So, unfortunately, I think that might be the case with this here cryptid.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of those things where like you read about it on websites and it's like, yeah, sightings and reports started happening in this year. And I'm like, okay, where are the sightings? Where are the reports? Like, let me read them. And it's all just like all the websites say the same thing.
Yep.
And it's very generalized. Yep. And I'm like, but where's the meat?
I guess it just comes down to we kind of look at it as like, oh, maybe the Ningen, it could be fake. It could have been started as on like a message board or what have you. But I mean, for what? Since mankind's been talking and writing stuff down, there's been stories of like weird human things in the ocean. So it's interesting that, maybe this example, doesn't hold much weight or salt, but all these other stories people have of something's out there in the ocean, we still don't know a whole lot. And I mean, it's only a matter of time until we go into the ocean and we meet the underwater apes that have been chilling. Because we got apes on land, now we got them in water, and they're going to team up. War for the planet of the apes.
Dude, could you imagine?
The ocean of the apes.
Dude, we need to talk to Fox right now and be like, I know where to take the next trilogy of ape movies. Underwater. Underwater.
Have a throw in a Meg crossover for good measure.
Dude, why not? Let's just bring it all together. That
Uh,
and Paul
I know that
Rudd.
bombshell. I guess that's it, huh?
Yeah.
But yeah, I got Paul Rudd in there.
Yeah, I guess that's it. I mean, so yeah, I mean, if for those of you who are watching the YouTube video, be sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, help us grow the database, the fan base.
That channel being the Paranormal Network. The Paranormal Network is where you can find our podcast episodes.
Mm-hmm. For those of you listening, leave us a good review. If I don't think Spotify lets you, but if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, leave us a good review. It'll help us circulate, get more popular, and therefore allow us to give more episodes to you. On top of that, check us out on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, or on all three if you want. That's at Cryptid Campfire. Check us out on our website, cryptidcampfire.com, where you can get yourself exclusive Cryptid Campfire merch.
Woohoo! Halloween season's coming up. You could use a cool, spooky campfire t-shirt.
Oh, yes. And then on top of that, if you've done all those things and you still need more, visit our Patreon page. $5 a month gets you early access to episodes as well as exclusive episodes just for the Patreon listeners, and a new wallpaper every month designed by Alex.
That's me. Hello.
Yes.
I did a scary duendes one just recently.
Yes, it is spice. And Alex has plenty of spice on his social medias.
Yeah, they say he who controls the spice controls the universe. If you want to check me out on Instagram, I'm Alex Daikaiju. That's Alex Daikaiju. I post a lot of monster cryptid related artwork. I make my own comics for fun and profit too. I think we mentioned this episode's coming out. It's October, baby. Woohoo. I'm doing a drawing challenge, a picture a day. So check it out.
Nice.
And my sources today, I would be forever lost in the subarctic oceans without the dreadnought Wikipedia by my side. I used Thought Catalog. They had 12 facts I had to know about ninjas. I used Cryptids Wiki with a Z. It's like the Z means it's spicy. And I used a Pine Barren Institute as well. Go check him out. It's a good friend of ours, Adam Benedict. We talked to the man one time, or a couple times actually.
Yeah, he's been on the show a number of times.
Yeah, it's wild, right? Who is this man?
I don't know. I should hit him up.
Yeah. Yo, what's up? And that's it for me. My resorts. It's been kind of crazy lately. I don't know about you guys. I've had a rough week. But whenever I'm feeling down, I always think of the song "Heaven is a Place on Earth," because I know they're talking about Ohio.
Oh God.
So that's where God incarnate Jasmine May With is from. Take it away, mighty ruler.
Yes, I am from Ohio. But if you'd like to follow me on my social media, my name is the same on both Instagram and Twitter. It's Jasmine May With, JasmineMaywith. My sources today have a lot of overlap with Alex's. Actually, I also used Thought Catalog, the Pine Barrens Institute, Gaia, rabrewster.com, and then the paper I read was Ningen, the generation of media lore concerning a giant sub-Antarctic aquatic humanoid and its relation to Japanese whaling activity, written by Felicity Greenland and Philip Hayward.
Whew, what a title. That took up 18 pages. And well, I don't know if everyone's been keeping up with the news. The crypto news. There's been a man making waves. He's been making appearances here, showing up there. He's a hot new rising star in cryptozoology. That man, we got to get on the show. Don Cheadle. Anyone who's got his info, hand it to Eli Watson.
Dude, Don Cheadle. This is an open invite. Please be on the show.
Yeah, we'd love to have you. We'll bake cookies.
And give them to
Eli
you through
is making
email.
waves though. Eli is making waves though. He's got lots of projects.
Oh,
projects.
Oh yeah, that was called a fake out. I wasn't really talking
I know.
about John Cheadle, everyone.
I know.
For listeners out there, this is called a joke. To Eli Watson now, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Well, you can keep up to date on some of my adventures by following me at the Eli Watson on Instagram. That's the only one I do. Well, I guess I have a Facebook page too, but if you add me and I don't know who you are, you ain't getting added back. So, because there's just too many weirdos in the world, and sorry. Anyways, my sources for today come from the Cryptid Wiki, exemplar.com, Gaia, cryptozoonews.com, and pacificwhale.org.
Very nice.
Yep, in case you couldn't tell, that last one was about Migaloo.
Oh.
Anyways, I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Thanks for tuning in to listen to us ramble about something that probably doesn't exist.
Whoa,
But
we
it's
can't
still
say that.
amazing.
We can't say that.
You already said that.
All right.
The funny thing about being on video now is you guys can watch the facial expressions that we make towards each other on our video call.
It's true.
Now you're one of us. Hello. Go
Like,
join the
you should-
Patreon.
Check out the last episode where Jasmine asked me if I wanted to keep talking about turtles. And I was like, huh?
What? I literally don't know what you're talking about.
It
I
was-
don't remember
it
that.
was
I think
like
it's
the
around
interrogation.
40 or 45 minutes in. It's
It's like the interrogation scene in Blade Runner. How do you feel about turtles?
literally have no memory of this.
I will find it and I will tell you where to go.
No, you already sent me enough screenshots of my dumb face.
No,
get
this
the
is
dumbest
of my face.
screenshots of Eli sends me screenshots of my like mid talking face or my like listening face, and they're always terrible, and I don't understand it. I hate it. Ugh. Anyway,
It's just I pause when I'm editing. I go to the bathroom. I come back and I see.
and
Oh,
it's
look!
me like,
Watch, you're gonna get that in a screenshot. You're gonna get that.
oh man,
That'll be
All
our
right.
next T-shirt.
Well, as we said, guys, thanks for listening. It was a little bit of a wacky episode, but we hope it was entertaining. We had fun. Tune in next week.
Yeah. Thanks for
This
tuning
world
in.
tour. We gotta go get our instruments. We're a band, y'all. Here we go.
Oh yeah. Here we go now. Here we go.
This podcast is a part of Straight Up Strange Productions. Discover more shows like this one at straightupstrange.com.